Some of you may know that I grew up in a small town, and a few things that every small town is known for are everyone's supposed to know your name, right? Just like in Cheers, you walk in, everyone knows your name. The police officers should always be more friendly and nice and just more open to your flaws and mistakes that you make throughout childhood. And finally, everyone shows up to town events. Everybody in the town goes to the town events. The towns are so small that everybody visits their own sub-side town events. The towns next to us, we would go to those town events. And I'm not sure if every small town is like that, but I know for sure that mine was like that because I'm a little biased. I was the mayor's daughter since the age of 2, until he passed away when I was 23. I've never been anything else. I've been the mayor's daughter for 20 years. That's all I have. And I still have that title. We still call it the Mayor's Manor back in Elmore. It's on Google as the Mayor's Manor and everything. So when I was younger and I was about 5 years old, I would be my father's like little mini-me, I guess. He would take me around everywhere. Everyone would know my name. I had blonde curly hair back then. And people would always be like, in the middle of the street, just walking with my dad to the post office, "Oh my goodness, Jackie, you've grown up so much, you've gotten so big," and then they would pinch my cheek and I would end up looking like this. It was always a little frightening for me because they'd always be like, "Oh my goodness, you're getting just so big, I can't believe it," because I'm a tall girl to begin with, and at the age of 5, the word big meant big, not big. I was always a little afraid. I was like, am I getting fat, Dad? Then when I was a little bit older, I got to know all of the police officers. Well, they already knew me. I was the mayor's kid to begin with. You always wanted to keep an eye out for the mayor's kid at parks, biking around town, all these other things. It's an interesting relationship that I have with police officers. Once I hit college, I was very frightened of them. But before that, I loved them, and they loved me. One day it was the last day of school, my junior year. I was the only one of my friends with a driver's license. My house was literally a block away, but I still drove. I mean, I was a teenager. I had my license. So we all piled in my car, and we turned on Pink Floyd's Another Brick in the Wall. We're blaring it. We're like zooming through the town, getting back home for a pool party at my place at the mayor's palace. And I see a police officer just sitting in like one of the back alleys, and he points at me. And I like straighten up and I turn down the music and he's just like, "You slow down, Missy, don't go that fast down that alley." And I'm like, "No problem, officer." And we all just slowly chill down the alley. And I'm like, I got this, I'm cool. Another example was coming home from college. My turnpike is right off the edge of town. And in the country you can go about 55, 60. On the turnpike you go about 70, 75. So I'm used to going a little fast, right? I'm driving. I'm ready to be home for that weekend. I had a doctor's appointment the next weekend. I was going to party that night. And I'm going up this hill, and I keep accelerating instead of taking off my foot, and then I'm going down this hill when, you know, the town's only about half a mile after you get at the bottom of the hill. You're supposed to be like going maybe 45. I was going maybe 65. I'm driving. And then I see the police officer. I was like, damn it. So I just like, he doesn't even have to put on his lights. I just like pull over, and he's walking up to me, and I'm sitting there. Like, I talked to him first. I was like, "Hey, officer," I don't recognize him now. "How are you doing today?" He's like, "I'm doing okay. You know that you were going a little fast down that hill, right?" I was like, "Yeah, officer, I do know. I am so sorry. I'm excited to be home, be back at my dad, the mayor's house, and I have a doctor's appointment in the morning. I'm really sorry about it." He's like, oh, well, if that's the case, I just slow down the next time. True to my word, I don't go over 50 down that hill anymore. After that, though, I mean, my dad found out about it. He wasn't too happy with me, but I just look at him. I'm like, "Dad, what are you talking about?" I was like, "I learned all of this from you." He's like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "Do you remember that one time we were out for family dinner? We were coming home, and my brother and I were stuck in the tiny little cabin in your truck in the back. And Mom was a little drunk, and Dad doesn't drink, so he was driving home. And all of a sudden, we see the lights going on after my mom's like, "Lol, you need to slow down. You're going too fast. You're going to get pulled over. You're going to have a ticket, and it's going to go in your..." Like, she's just doing the mom thing. And then all of a sudden we see the lights, and myself and my brother are just like, oh my goodness, you're totally gonna get a ticket. All of a sudden, my dad's getting out of the car. My mom's screaming, you're gonna get shot! There's a gun drawn to him. And all of a sudden, 10 minutes later, he's just chit-chatting with this cop a town over who recognized him after the fact and didn't get a ticket. Dad, no wonder I throw your name around to get out a ticket. I was 8 then. Last but not least, every town has town events, and I was volunteer for every one of those town events since the age of 5. I was one of those people who would have to, there was giant troughs, right, with ice and water, and I would have to dig out the pop at the age of 5. Each year, my tasks and my volunteering got a little bit more difficult, obviously. I had to start counting money once. That was the worst. But I forced my friends to come then. So since I was being forced to be there, my friends were going to be forced to be there. Their parents would have to bring them to the event, and then afterwards, it would just turn into everybody I knew at these town events. Everybody showed up because my father and I, because we were there, and we needed volunteers. And other people would just show up. Everyone would be there. So anytime that I would be walking down past the vendors, I knew everyone that was at the town. It's odd because all of these little things shaped who I am and actually made me a virtuoso when it comes to public relations. Because of my dad and because of my mom's kooky personality, I'm always available to have a fun conversation, be open, and it won't exhaust me at the end of the day. It just comes to me naturally, and I'm really happy that I was able to have that type of experience because of my father and my mother. Thank you.